Inch by Inch by Leo Leone, published by HarperCollins. One day a hungry robin saw an inchworm, green as an emerald, sitting on a twig. He was about to gobble him up. "Don't eat me. I'm an inchworm. I'm useful. I measure things." "Is that so?" said the robin. "Then measure my tail." "That's easy," said the inchworm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches. "Just think," said the robin, "my tail is 5 inches long." And with the inchworm he flew to where other birds needed to be measured. The inchworm measured the neck of the flamingo, he measured the toucan's beak, and the legs of a heron, the tail of a pheasant, and the whole hummingbird. One morning the nightingale met the inchworm. "Measure my song," said the nightingale. "But how can I do that?" said the inchworm. "I measure things, not songs." "Measure my song or I'll eat you for breakfast," said the nightingale. And then the inchworm had an idea. "I'll try," he said. "Go ahead and sing." The nightingale sang, and the inchworm measured away. He measured and he measured, inch by inch, until he was out of sight. Inchworms are actually the larvae of the geometer moth. They're called loopers, spanners, or measuring worms. They move the way they do because they don't have legs in the middle of their body, only 2 or 3 pairs on each end. So they propel themselves forward by pulling their back legs up to make a loop and then reaching forward with their front legs. They can be green or brown or black. They eat leaves, usually. There are over 1,400 different kinds of inchworms that become moths. It's kind of amazing. Let's get started on our collage. Isn't it fun to learn about inchworms and other things you might see in your garden when you're playing outside? I didn't know that there were so many different kinds of inchworms. I didn't know that they turned into moths. So I learned something new today. For this project, you're going to need a piece of paper for your background, and it can be any color. This is where you're going to make the grass, and you're going to glue the grass down. You'll also need some scraps of paper. I got some paper out of magazines that had green on them, or plants. This one has plants on it. I had some old painted paper in my drawer, scrap paper. This is old tissue paper that was just in my scrap drawer. And then this is a watercolor painting that I think my granddaughter did. I'm going to use that today too. So just go around your house and look for kinds of different paper that you could tear and use for grass. So you'll also need like a plain green piece of paper. This is what we'll use to make the inchworm. A glue stick and some scissors, and we're all ready to go. Okay, so to get started, I'm going to just take some of these papers. If all you have is construction paper, that certainly works too. You could get different colors of green or even add some yellow. Remember, nothing in nature is perfect, and everything has all of the things that you see outside in your garden are not all the same color of green, for sure. So I'm just going to start using my fingers to tear strips. I like the point on that one. And I'm going to tear a little bit of each one of my extra scrap papers. And then we'll put them down on our background as strips of grass, a place for the inchworm to inch away as the nightingale is singing its song. So I'm just going to tear a few of these, and you keep tearing until you feel like you've got enough to go across the bottom of your paper. So I'll just keep tearing until I've got enough. Isn't it fun to do all that tearing? It's good for your fingers too. So I think it's really fun to go find paper that's not being used or that you can recycle. It's a really good way to recycle things in your house. So don't worry if none of this is perfect, because remember, grass is not perfect. So now I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm just going to start gluing some of these strips of paper down on the bottom of my background. And it's okay to overlap them. Of course, lots of things in nature overlap. If you look out your window, you won't see each flower standing all by itself. It'll be standing with other things in your yard or your garden or outside at the park. So I'm going to use most of as many of these as I need and cover the whole bottom. You'll notice that my paper is horizontal, side to side. It's not up and down, although you could do it up and down, but I just decided to do it side to side because it gives me a little bit more space. All right, so I'll go ahead and I'm going to cover the bottom of my paper with all these strips of different colors of green and see what comes out. And then we'll go on to the next step. Did you run out of torn paper? I did, so I had to actually tear some more paper. All right, now I am ready to make my inchworm, and I'm going to use this bright green color. I think it'll look really nice on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold a strip of this paper about 1 inch wide. And if you have a ruler, you can measure it, or you can just use your eyes and guess. That works too. And then I'm just going to cut this right on the fold. And then I'm going to take the corners off because I don't think inchworms have sharp corners. So I'm just going to cut the corners off by rounding them a tiny bit. This is a long inchworm. I think he might be too long. Well, that's okay. Wasn't it interesting to find out that inchworms don't have any feet on the middle of their body? They're only on the ends of their body. So what you want to do is you want to make that loop like we saw in the photo and like you see in the book of the inchworm crawling along. So I'm going to make mine just a little bit shorter, but you can decide how big you want your inchworm to be. And when you put your glue down, you're not going to put glue on the whole thing. You're only going to put glue on each end because you want to show that the inchworm can make a loop. So I'm going to put him right up here, just like that. Now, I see what's missing. And I didn't put that in the supplies, but I think I need a black marker. So I'm going to grab a black marker real fast. I'm going to give him a couple eyes here. You can use any color marker, of course, but I'm just going to use black. I'm going to give him, gives him a little bit of personality. A couple little eyeballs. There he is. Now, if you're really feeling creative and you want to add more to your picture, you can add a bird in the background, or you can cut a bird out of your scraps of paper. There you go. There's your inchworm in the beautiful grass. There's another one that I made earlier. So much fun. Have fun tearing. If tearing feels really hard to you, cut your grass. Just cut long strips of paper. Make sure you've got some sort of point at the top, like grass does, and then glue them onto your background. I hope you had a good time. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon.